Beneath the dim glow of the oil lamp inside the wooden house, Tu Diep set down her phone after James wished her good night. She felt a wave of relief, knowing he still cared despite his busy schedule, yet she couldn't help worrying about the misunderstanding with James's father, and hoped he would be sympathetic toward her. In episode 49, a tense confrontation between James and his father comes to light when he insists on defending his love for Tu Diep despite family pressures and concerns about reputation. Will James's heart be strong enough to keep his promise to stay by her side until the very end, as the cracks from both past and present threaten to tear them apart? In the faint early morning light, Tung woke up in his small house on the outskirts of Tanmin town. The weak spring sun streamed through the old wooden window, its frame discolored by time, leaving faded yellow patches on the tiled floor, weathered by countless seasons of rain and sun. Tiny beams of light slipped through the gaps, highlighting a thin layer of dust on the plain furnishings. He got up, his worn flip-flops squeaking on the floor as he walked into the living room. The house was silent, save for the spring breeze stirring the old tile roof and gently rustling the faded green curtains. He sat down on a chipped wooden chair in the middle of the room, its peeling paint exposing rough grain underneath. Picking up a cup of warm water from the dented aluminum kettle left on the table overnight, he watched the steam rise in front of his gaunt face. A trace of worry crossed his mind. How is Tu Diep doing now? Yesterday she said she might be pregnant, but I can't figure out why she sounded so shaky. Should I take her to get checked? He took a sip, the warmth soothing the early morning chill in his throat, his distant gaze turning toward the window, where sparrows hopped on a dry branch in the yard, their small wings fluttering in a carefree way he couldn't seem to share right now. He wrestled with the thought, eyes clouded with concern. James loves her. He treats her so well, but if the rumor is true and she's really pregnant by someone else, it'll break his heart. I have to help them. Diep can't face this alone. Setting the cup down with a soft clink in the stillness, he rested his chin on his hand, torn. But if I step in, will James misunderstand? He's already overwhelmed by his father's anger. I don't want to make things worse, but Diep needs someone. She's too vulnerable. After a pause, he stood, resolve shining through his worries. Wheeling out his dusty old wave motorbike from the corner of the house, he started the engine with a chugging roar and a grey puff of exhaust. As he fastened his battered helmet, he thought, I'll go see Diep. She needs help. I can't leave her alone with that fear, especially when James is busy. He revved up on the bumpy red dirt road, dust swirling behind him in the cold spring wind, messy hair blowing under his helmet, feeling a faint hope. As long as she's all right, everything will turn out okay. Meanwhile, at the small backyard behind Tu Diep's wooden house in Tanmin village, James and Diep sat on an old bamboo bench under a large almond tree. The weak morning sun filtered through sparse leaves, glistening on dew droplets that dotted the branches. It cast a misty glow on James's worried face and Diep's reddened eyes, highlighting her fragile features and the turmoil in his gaze. They drank water from two chipped ceramic cups on a wobbly bamboo table, hairline cracks on the cups testifying to her hard life. A faint breeze slid through Diep's thin patchwork jacket, making her shoulders tremble. James looked down, fingers intertwined on his lap, his voice low and full of regret as dried leaves rustled overhead. If my dad said anything hurtful to you yesterday, I'm sorry. He misunderstood because of the rumors. I don't want you to be upset. I know how hard this is for you. Diep looked at him with a gentle but fearful expression, setting her cup down. Her voice was soft, like a passing breeze. It's all right. I understand his point of view. He's worried about you. I'm not angry at him, just sad that everyone thinks poorly of me. James nodded, relieved by her response, his gaze turning warm as he thought, she understands, Dad. She's so kind. He spoke, voice firm but comforting. I really don't know how to make him see that what we share is real, but I believe in you. I know you're not deceiving me. We'll prove it to him eventually. Don't worry. Diep gave a faint smile, her chapped lips curling slightly, heart touched by his belief, yet still tangled by her fears. He trusts me, but what if it turns out I really am pregnant? How will he react then? Lowering her head, she clutched at her shirt, unable to shake the worry. James stood up, eyes shining with resolve. Get ready. I'll take you to the clinic. We need to know for sure so you can stop worrying. They headed inside through the dimly lit doorway, where a soft glow revealed the packed earth floor. She grabbed a thin coat hanging by a wooden wall peg, hands trembling slightly as she put it on, hope mingling with dread. Please let me not be pregnant so he won't be disappointed. James watched, silently promising, no matter the result, I'll stay by your side, Diep. They took a bumpy red dirt road toward Tanmin town in James's sleek black Ford Raptor. The truck rattled over potholes, clouds of dust trailing behind. Pale morning light shone through the windshield, illuminating James's tense but determined face, and Diep's tear-reddened eyes. She gripped her hands on her lap, dust still clinging to her patchwork jacket. A cold breeze slipped into the cabin through a slightly open window. Glancing at her, James thought, "Don't worry, I'll get you checked. Everything will be clear." Suddenly, Tongue appeared on his rattling old wave, heading in the opposite direction. Dust whirled around him as he braked at the roadside, hair tousled by the wind as he removed his helmet. His voice was deep, tinged with surprise. "James? Diep? You too?" Rolling down the window, James let in another swirl of red dirt. He nodded. "Hey, Tongue, how are you?" Tongue returned the nod, worried eyes shifting to Diep. "James, Diep, it's early. Where you headed?" "I was on my way to visit Diep," James answered, voice calm yet rushed. "I'm taking her to the clinic in town. Thanks for checking on." Tongue's concern flickered in his gaze. "I was worried because she told me she might be pregnant. Didn't sound right to me. I was going to help her get checked out, but if you're already on it, that's good. I'm relieved." Diep gave him a grateful smile, voice trembling. "Sorry, we'll have to meet another time. Thank you for worrying about me, Tongue." Diep's nodded, warmed by Tongue's kindness. "Thanks, man. Don't worry, I'll take care of her. We should get going now. See you later." The Ford Raptor rumbled off, raising another cloud of red dust. Tongue watched them drive away in the chilly spring breeze, feeling reassured. "James can handle this. I don't need to worry. But Diep has been through a lot. I hope she's okay." He fastened his helmet and followed the truck with his eyes as it disappeared around the bend, quietly thinking, "James is a good guy. Diep's lucky to have him." Inside the truck, James steadied his grip on the wheel, reminding himself, "Tongue's worried too, but I'll do better. Diep needs me most now." Meanwhile, Diep glanced out the window, relieved to have James at her side. "Both James and Tongue care about me. I have to be stronger." At the small clinic in Tan Minh, pale light filtered through foggy glass windows onto a stained white floor. James led Diep inside, gently holding her hand as his heart pounded with anticipation. Standing in the narrow hallway, he leaned against the wall and stared at the old wooden door, silently hoping. "Please, don't let her be pregnant." "I trust you, Diep." Inside, Diep lay on an examination bed beneath a single overhead lamp. A middle-aged doctor in a faded white coat examined her, his voice calm and even. "I've checked you over. You're not pregnant. These symptoms come from a circulatory issue causing dizziness and nausea. Just take the prescribed medicine and you'll be fine. Nothing serious." A breath of relief escaped her, as if a huge weight had fallen away. "Thank you, doctor. I'm so glad," she whispered. James, waiting outside, pushed the door open the moment he heard her voice, hope lighting up his face. "She's not pregnant, right?" The doctor nodded with a slight smile. "Certainly not. She just needs the medication and she'll be fine." James felt a surge of joy, his doubts vanishing. He took Diep's hand with renewed warmth. "I knew it. She never betrayed me. We'll get through this together." They went to a small pharmacy in Tan Minh, where a dim overhead light shone on a dusty glass counter lined with neatly stacked pills. James smiled, voice low and gentle. "After we buy the medicine, let's do something relaxing. No more worrying. Everything's okay now." Diep nodded, feeling lighter, eyes bright. "Thank you so much. You've been so good to me." He drove the Ford Raptor to a nearby forest not far from the village. Weak daylight streamed through tall trees as they parked and set up a makeshift shelter with dried bamboo poles and fresh banana leaves. James tried to start a fire by hand, sweat rolling down his forehead as he gave up and laughed sheepishly. "I'm no good at this. I'll stick to using a lighter." They cooked sausages and fresh vegetables, enjoying the aroma drifting from the small fire. Sitting together under the forest canopy, James spoke softly. "Don't worry about my father anymore. Now that everything's clear, I'm just happy you're okay." Diep nodded, relieved. "I'm happy too. Thank you for standing by me." By dusk, the moon lit their way back. Both felt safe and warm. Night had fallen by the time they arrived at the small wooden house in Tan Minh. Pale moonlight slipped through the cracks of the old wooden door, revealing a dusty earth floor still coated with the day's footprints. Tu Diep stepped inside, her muddy rubber sandals flapping. She set down her bags on the rickety wooden table and began tidying up, still feeling the day's tension lift. She swept the floor and wiped the table with an old rag. An oil lamp flickered on the wall, illuminating her thin silhouette. Heading out to the yard, she cut a banana stem from the garden with measured taps, tack, tack, then chopped it into small pieces. She scattered them into the chicken and duck coop, where a chorus of soft chirping filled the night air. Her small brown dog, Haki, padded after her, wagging its short tail, its tiny paws smeared with dirt as it stayed close to her side. She bent down to pat its fluffy coat, speaking gently. "You're adorable, Haki. Stay here with me. You make me feel better." Haki looked up at her with round, gleaming eyes under the moonlight, nudging her hand with its damp nose. She felt a brief moment of peace. "You ask no questions. You're just here. That's enough." Back inside, she sat at the wooden table under the dim oil lamp, pulling a worn book from the simple shelf. The Art of Charming Others with Your Words. She thumbed through its yellowed pages, the faint glow tracing each sentence. She silently hoped, if James's dad could just understand me, he'd realize I'm not a bad person. He's just worried about his son. The phone rang, and James's warm, low voice came through the line. "Diep, it's me. How are you doing? I'm stuck in a shareholders meeting in the city and can't make it over. Don't worry though, I've been thinking about you." Diep smiled, comforted by his concern, and replied in a soft voice, "It's okay, focus on your meeting. I fed the chickens and ducks and everything's fine. Come by another time." James chuckled gently. "Glad to hear. Get some rest, okay? Good night, Diep." She nodded, her eyes reflecting a quiet happiness. "Good night, drive safe." Hanging up, she watched the oil lamp flicker and felt a calm settle over her. He still cares about me. Everything will be fine. I just have to keep trying. When James and Diep brave their hardships together, will James's father finally change his mind? Tune in to episode 50 to see the surprising encounter between James's father and Diep, where a touching truth melts away old misunderstandings. Don't miss it. Find out the answer for yourself.
Mới với những bước chân chậm rãi nhưng đầy kiên định, cuộc sống cô, một người phụ nữ từng bị gò bó trong đau khổ, giờ đây đã có chút ánh sáng nhờ sự xuất hiện của CEO Jam, người đàn ông giàu có với trái tim ấm áp. Nhưng khi tình yêu thương đã tưởng chừng đã chạm đến trái tim cô, một bóng đen từ quá khứ lại hiện về, kéo theo những nghi ngờ và nỗi sợ hãi. Liệu trái tim Diệp có đủ dũng cảm để đón nhận hạnh phúc, hay cô mãi bị giam cầm trong chính những vết thương lòng không lành? Câu trả lời nằm trong những giờ khắc cảm xúc của tập 13 này. Chúc các bạn nghe truyện vui vẻ. Diệp đứng giữa cánh rừng thưa, nơi những chiếc lá rong xanh mướt rủ xuống như những tấm rèm tự nhiên. Ánh nắng đầu ngày xuyên qua tán cây, chiếu lên khuôn mặt cô những vệt sáng mờ nhạt, làm nổi bật đôi mắt trầm buồn. Hôm nay cô quyết định đi hái lá rong để bán. Một công việc đơn giản nhưng đủ để cô cảm thấy mình còn giá trị trong cuộc sống đầy bất ổn này. Trong lòng cô, một ý nghĩ lặp đi lặp lại như tiếng gió rít qua rừng. Cô cần tiền không chỉ để sửa sang trang trại mà Giam đã cho cô ở nhờ, mà còn để chứng minh rằng cô có thể tự đứng vững, không còn phụ thuộc vào sự thương hại của bất kỳ ai, kể cả anh. Cô bước đi, tay cầm chiếc cùi tre đã sờn cũ, đôi chân chai sạn đẫm lên những chiếc lá khô kêu xào xạc. Mỗi bước chân là một lần cô tự nhủ rằng mình phải mạnh mẽ, phải quên đi những ngày tháng bị hành hạ trong căn nhà cố bao. Người chồng cũ từng biến cô thành nô lệ hơn là một người vợ. Nhưng khi cô cúi xuống nhặt từng chiếc lá rong, hình ảnh Giam bất ngờ chợt hiện lên trong tâm trí. Anh đã xuất hiện như một tia sáng giữa bóng tối. Cô kéo cô ra khỏi địa ngục ấy bằng lòng tốt và sự kiên nhẫn. Vậy mà trái tim cô lại run rẩy, không phải vì hạnh phúc mà vì nỗi sợ hãi rằng tất cả chỉ là sự thương hại trá hình. Diệp dừng lại, tay nắm chiếc lá rong đến mức nó nhàu nhĩ. Cô tự hỏi liệu mình đang tự dệt nên một giấc mơ không có thật. Jam với dáng vẻ lịch lãm của một CEO giàu có và cô, một người phụ nữ nghèo từng bị chồng ruồng bỏ. Hai thế giới ấy làm sao có thể hòa hợp? Trong sâu thẳm tâm hồn